Okay, welcome. It's Tuesday, 11 October in the year of our Lord 2022. And of course, 4 weeks from tonight, we'll be starting getting ready to start the broadcast for election night coverage. And as you remember, those in our audience who sat with us on 3 November 2020, long 2 years, long and short, but huge developments. Now, entire tectonic plate shift, as we told you, is starting to come towards MAGA, the Republican Party. It could be a blowout. 50, 60, maybe 70 seats in the House, pick up a bunch of Senate seats, take control of the Senate, 52, 48, win all the big governorships. Part of that is because of Brandon Straka and the Walkaway project. He's here with another big, huge development. Brandon, first off, before we talk about what you guys have coming up and to bring Vanessa, Rosa in, I want to talk to you about where do you think we are as now the polling says we got this huge shift because of the issue set of inflation, border security, crime, invasion of the southern border, all of it. To give us your perspective when we're 4 weeks out.
Hey, Steve. Am I with you? I lost my signal for a second.
Yeah, you're here, sir. Go ahead.
All right, good to see you again. Thank you. It's interesting. I woke up this morning, and the first thing that happened when I woke up was I was greeted with a barrage of messages and mentions on social media saying, Tulsi Gabbard is walking away. Tulsi Gabbard is walking away. And this became kind of the hot story of the day. I think that we're at this point now where the walkaway movement is becoming more than just everyday citizens. It's going all the way to the top. People are really, really fed up with how extreme and divisive and out of control this party has become. And I think particularly I'm living proof of and so are you, look who I'm talking to, of the DOJ overreach, of the FBI overreach. It's becoming too much for people. And I think across the board, whether it's, if the issues that are important to you are those based off of your kind of racial identity community or your pocketbook or your job, people are suffering in this country, and they're seeing that the Democrats don't care about the American people.
Talk to me about, you started this movement, Walk Away. Take us through what were the drivers when you started it, and the arc of that today is even more radical. This is why you have Tulsi Gabbard walking away. So walk us through the arc from what it was that even led you and those original pioneers who kind of did it to now today. The movement's actually much bigger, but the Democratic Party did not calm down when you guys started walking away. It actually got more radical.
Right. Yeah. So I started Walk Away in May of 2018, and back then it seemed like the most pressing issues that we were facing at that time were, identity politics and the divisive manipulation of race and the media narratives of just about every political and media story revolving around this idea that America is a racist country, that Republicans are bigots, Nazis, things like this. This was the early years of Trump too. Now, all of that has been mass accelerated. I mean, I didn't dream that within just a couple of short years, we would be reaching a point where social justice warriors had so invaded the school systems and were looking to teach 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds about gender spectrums and radical gender ideology and pronouns and things like this, and critical race theory. So all of those initial issues have only gotten much, much worse. But then, of course, we also look around at all of the policies that are being pushed by Biden today, and the increasing pushes of children or parents out of the process of being involved in kids' education, as well as, once again, a weaponized DOJ, a weaponized FBI, these things being pushed against conservatives. There's a total double standards in terms of justice. It's getting really scary. And I think that people are seeing that this is an authoritarian party that has been completely overtaken by Marxists, and it's getting worse, not better.
When you see the economic policies, and now you see this, we got inflation, you've got the all the problems with stock market drop, bond market drop, housing drop. When you look at the three parts of society most affected, it's Hispanic community, African American community, and people don't want to talk about it too much, but the under 35s who are really getting eviscerated the most. Has that started to percolate, and are you seeing any of the walkaway movement really not just for the social justice warrior aspect of it or the Justice Department aspect of it or the culture aspect, but also people in their own economic self-interest saying, hey, I can't take this any longer.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, especially if we look at the first part of the question where we're talking about racial identity groups, absolutely, unquestionably, Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, even religious minorities like Jewish Americans are definitely, I think, waking up to the fact that they're being used, lied to, and manipulated, and that the policies that the Democrats are pushing don't support them, don't make their lives better, don't put more money in the bank. They're driving up the price of gas. They're making the cost of living unaffordable, the grocery bills unaffordable. People are seeing that. In terms of the second part of your question about the under 30s, I hate to say it, but I think that young white liberals are going to be some of the biggest holdouts that we see, as well as suburban white women. What we've seen, I think, for a while is that suburban white women feel this sort of sense of white guilt, I guess is what we call it, in that they feel the need to support some of these more progressive, quote unquote, progressive Marxist movements like Black Lives Matter, thinking that they're doing something good when in fact they're supporting something incredibly detrimental to our country. And I think that they're going to be the very last groups who actually get it and see what's going on.
Let's play. I want to bring in your guest. I want to bring in Vanessa Rosa, but I want to play the Tulsi Gabbard clip, and I'd like to get Vanessa's response to that, and then yours, Brandon. Can we go ahead, Memphis? Can you go ahead and play Tulsi Gabbard?
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, and I invite you to join me.
Okay, welcome back. There's a big announcement that Brandon's got, but I want to bring in Vanessa Rosa first. Vanessa, can you give us your assessment before we go back to Brandon on Tulsi Gabbard, what she had to say, and the power of that throughout the country?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with everything that Tulsi said. In fact, I'm excited that she decided to finally walk away because I've been wondering when is that going to happen? Because I believe anyone that is on that side is either blind or being purposely ignorant to how divisive the Democratic Party is being. And it's so obvious that they're trying to be divisive and trying to tear this country apart. So I applaud her, and I hope more politicians follow suit.
Hang on right there, Vanessa. We're going to come back to you in a second. Brandon, your thoughts. I know you've been working on this for a number of years. When you hear Tulsi Gabbard, who people, I hope everybody remembers, she was a fairly competitive presidential candidate. She didn't get a lot of delegates, but on the debate stage, she, I thought, really outshined so many people that were up there. She ran for president of the Democratic Party last cycle. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just think this is a really exciting time. You know, like I said, I started Walkway in 2018, and there was an explosion. We had tens of thousands of people creating videos and written testimonials telling their stories. But I think when it gets to the point where you have somebody as high profile as Tulsi Gabbard, and somebody who just a few years ago was running for president as a Democrat, now saying, I can no longer be a part of this party. I mean, it kind of gives me chills a little bit. It kind of gives me shivers. When I listen to her message, it actually reminds me a lot of the video I put out in 2018, detailing all the reasons I was walking away. And I love that she ends it by inviting other people to join. I mean, this is the greatest thing, I think, is that it's not just people feeling alienated and pushed away. It's like we're kind of at this point now where everyone's going, let's do this together. This is not good. This is not in the good of America or the best interest of our country to support this political party. Let's join hands, let's link arms, and let's walk away from this party, because it's no good.
Talk to us about this event you've got coming up, because it's very special, and we want to make sure War Room supports it nonstop. So talk to us about how you conceived it, what's going to go on.
Yeah, so Vanessa, who was just on a moment ago, I actually don't know her as Vanessa. I know her as Gothics. She's a YouTuber with an incredible following and an incredible message, who goes by the moniker Gothics. And so Gothics is going to be a moderator for what will be this Saturday, the Walkaway Black Americans Left versus Black Americans Right live debate. And so what we're doing is we're taking 3 Black Americans who represent the political left. We're putting them against 3 Black Americans on the political right. And once and for all, we're going to put these issues on the table that are being so manipulated and so exploited by the political left and by the liberal media. We're going to talk about things like critical race theory, white supremacy, the Black Lives Matter movement. Is America a systemically racist country? We're going to talk about the Black abortion rates. We're going to talk about the economy. We're going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about Biden. But what I think is going to be really powerful and different about what we're doing here is we're really going to hold the left accountable for these narratives that they've been pushing. This is not just, a group of Black people debating policy. This is going to be debating the very reasons and the very narratives that are causing 90% of Black Americans to keep going back to a party that does not care about them, does not support them, and has put forward policies that have destroyed this community. We're going to make the left answer for that once and for all. And we're going to do it on a public stage in front of an audience, and we're going to live stream this event. And I really want to encourage every single person watching who's anywhere near the DC area, come and show up. Tickets are only $10. It's this Saturday, October 15th at 6 o'clock. People can go to walkawaycampaign.com/events and get a ticket. Come sit in the audience and cheer these panelists on as they do the really tough job of being a Black conservative, standing up for Black conservatives in America or the conservative movement. Be there to support them. This is important.
Let me go back to Vanessa. You're going to be at the heart of this. Vanessa, why is this not, it sounds so powerful and logical. Why have we not had more of these? Why is it October of 2022 and we're finally doing this and getting up there and having people in freedom and liberty go at it as America, as we do? Why is it taking so long to actually get this done?
I mean, to be honest, from my perspective, I've seen a lot of attempts to bring people together to have these types of conversations, but I find more often than not, they just get buried and censored, and oftentimes people don't even want to come to the table because I think that there's some level of maybe fear of being misled. And that's something that I can totally relate to as someone who walked away from the left. It was a little bit of a shock thinking, oh, wow, I've been misled this entire time. Democrats don't care about me. So now I'm so honored to be a part of moderating this event because I have the perspective of both sides. And I'm very curious to see how what ideas we can come out of this and maybe even change some minds.
Give our audience, talk about your journey. Talk about you as a Democrat, you as a young person, and what's the arc of your story?
Oh, yeah. So the only time that I voted prior to the 2020 election was for Barack Obama, and I voted for him simply because he was Black. And back then, I had no idea that was incorrect and that I actually had to research and look into the candidates that were running. I just knew he was Black and we wanted to get the first Black president in office. And I didn't question it. And there's this stereotype in the Black community that Black people are born Democrat. It's like the default setting. And what I realized is it's common that people just don't ask why. There's no questions behind it. You just get your marching orders, go to the ballot box and do the thing. And what woke me up was during 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement. and COVID. I'm hearing on the one hand that we have to stay home and flatten the curve, but on the other hand, thousands of people can go out and march in the streets for this guy that no one knew. So it got me thinking, is COVID really as bad as they say it is, or is it that they're just using black people? Because it wasn't making sense. And after that, I did my research, and then I realized, okay, they've been doing this for generations. They really are using black people.
I come from Richmond, Virginia. I was raised on the north side, which is a predominantly black neighborhood. And one thing, my family used to be Democrats. The one thing you see is that the Democratic Party just takes advantage. I mean, there's no changes. There's never any change. There's never anything about crime. There's never anything about not poverty, but about helping job creation, helping entrepreneurs come in and get capital, really rejuvenate these neighborhoods of anything that's just not more social control. I call it kind of the plantation. My mom's from Baltimore. You see Baltimore, how beautiful Baltimore used to be in the same situation. But because I worked in many jobs with a lot of black guys, they seem to understand. They're very awake that the Democratic Party doesn't do anything for African Americans. Is that now becoming more and more that people are saying, hey, we just don't have to be bound by just voting for the Democratic Party. We have to hold the Democratic Party accountable for their actions. And if they're not helping the community, then we got to look at another alternative. Hey, maybe we don't like Trump, but at least maybe these Republicans are more entrepreneurial. Is there a movement happening in that right now, do you think?
I'm seeing it happen more and more, but not to the amount that I think it should be. And I think a big reason for that is because there's a little bit of, there's a lot of manipulation that happens within Black America, where it's like this idea, if you are not a Democrat, you are betraying your own people and you are a race traitor. And there's a certain way that a Black person in America is supposed to think and behave. And it's very obvious. And I think that's what is holding a lot of Black people from taking that step away from the left, is because, well, you don't want to get your black card removed. You don't want to be looked at as like someone that's betraying your own kind. And I think that was intentional, the way that this whole identity politics has been set up. It's a way to basically have you psychologically enslaved to forever support a party that hasn't done anything, despite voting the same people in year after year, and the cities still look the same way that it is. We have high illiteracy rates for Black students in America. And I think it's just, like I said, it's that fear of being othered.
You have everything. You have poverty. You have no jobs. The crime is out of control. I keep telling people, all the victims of the crimes of the African American Hispanic community, these hardworking families that try to make a go of it, have an onslaught of everything against them. The pressure in all of these is always on the moderator. Walk the audience through, as the moderator, to walk us through your thought process and how you're going to bring both sides in, because we want a robust debate, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want to be too Pollyannish, because there's a lot of what separates us, and what's going to unite us is coming together, thinking things through, and saying, hey, I can understand your side. So as a moderator, how do you intend to handle this intense debate?
Yeah, so I'm going to be totally honest with you. This is the first event that I've ever moderated, but I am a good conversationalist. And after walking away, I've gotten that perspective to see what is the best course of action to actually bring people together and have a conversation. Nobody learns anything from yelling matches. Nobody learns anything from slinging insults at one another. So I'm going to try to direct the debate and have people just say their piece, but use logic instead of feelings, and try to just have it as plain as possible. Because I think the other thing that I want to come out of this is for everyone watching to be able to gain a new perspective that they might not have been able to get because they've already had this perception about the other side. It's kind of prevented them from listening to what their opinions are.
Vanessa, how can people follow you, your podcast, all your broadcasting, your writing, social media, all of it? Where do they go?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, on Rumble, all my social media platforms at Gothics TV. That's Gothics with an X at the end, TV.
Gothix, Gothics TV?
You got it.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa. Brandon, any closing thoughts? This is pretty amazing. Everybody's going to be very excited. The War Room wants to figure out how we can promote this nonstop. So once again, where do people go, and what should they anticipate?
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. I would encourage everyone, if you are anywhere in the DC area, literally, if you're in Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, anywhere, uh, come and be a part of our live audience for this event. And tickets are only $10. You can get them at walkawaycampaign.com/events. One thing I want to make clear, because of course we know we do have a lot of white people in the conservative movement, and sometimes white people get a little bit unsure about what they're supposed to do, and they'll say, oh, I'd really like to see this event, but I'm not Black, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be there. Absolutely. We want everyone to come out. And I think it's a great message to send, to have a room full of white people who are cheering on our right-wing panelists and letting them know that we're behind them and we support them. So if you can't make it and you want to watch on the live stream, you can get the link to the live stream also at walkawaycampaign.com, click events. But if you can come out, be a part of our live audience, it's this Saturday. Doors open at around 5 o'clock, 5:30. And it's here in Washington, D.C. Tickets are at walkawaycampaign.com/events. I truly believe this is going to be one of the hottest events of the year. And as you pointed out, Steve, we don't do things like this nearly enough. One of the reasons why I like to do events like this, racially targeted events and debate events, is the Republican Party's not doing this stuff. And we need to be getting these issues out. We need to be debating them, and we need to be targeting these communities and inviting them over. So be a part of it. Walkawaycampaign.com/events.
And I think in Vanessa, you got a great moderator, so it's going to be exciting.
She's
Brandon,
amazing.
thank you so much. Honored to have you. Amazing.
Thank
Honored
you.
to have you on here. Thanks. Let's play. We got Dr. Peter McCullough. I want to play. We got a cold open for Dr. McCullough. Let's play this, and I'll bring in Dr. Peter McCullough.
All of us want to be superheroes, and the most important heroes are those that help others. This year, thousands of kids like us around the world joined the COVID-19 vaccine trial. To all the kids who volunteered, we'd like to say, thank you.
But one day I had a stomach ache so bad I didn't want to do anything. The team at New York Presbyterian said it was actually my heart. It was severely swollen, something called myocarditis. But doctors gave me medicines and used machines to control my heartbeat. They saved me. So now I can become the next great fashion designer.
Two teenage boys who died on days 3 and 4 after the Pfizer vaccine, and the parents were horrified to find the children dead at home. Autopsies were performed, and the conclusion was crystal clear. The vaccines caused the death with massive heart inflammation.
I took care of those children who came in with myocarditis after the vaccine. And I talked to the doctors because I was a charge nurse, saying, why aren't we reporting these to VAERS? Who is going to report these to VAERS? It was an unspoken thing that we were not allowed to talk about openly on the unit. The day before I was taken away from my position, I was actively giving compressions to a child to keep him alive.
Wow. I want to bring in Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, we only got a minute here. I'll hold you through the break. Tell our audience, particularly the podcast radio audience, that was incredibly powerful. What did we just see there?
We just saw a montage implicating, I think clearly demonstrating that the COVID-19 vaccines, actually all of them, cause myocarditis or heart inflammation, and it's fatal. It's fatal. This is a fatal complication, and these products are still in use. America is outraged.
Dr. McCullough, hang on for 1 second. We'll take a short commercial break. One of the things that I've said politically as a strategist that has shocked me, and it's a big tell, you have not seen the Democratic Party. You have not seen people come in with, they're going to spend, I think, total this cycle, $4.5 or $5 billion in advertising. You have not seen anybody politically get in front of this vaccine and use it on a winning political side. That is a huge tell. That is a huge tell. We're going to take a short commercial break. Dr. Peter McCullough, a real patriot and true hero who the tech oligarchs have targeted, not just to be deplatformed, to be shut down. Short commercial break. We'll be back in War Room in a moment.
War Room Battleground with Stephen K. Bannon.
Dr. Peter McCullough, one of the top premier names in this entire medical freedom movement. Dr. McCullough, walk through what's happened to you over the last 72 hours. What was this controversy that you went from having a tremendous amount of Twitter followers, and we have in the middle of this, Elon Musk is buying this and saying, hey, they're trying to negotiate with management team, and there's going to be a platform for everybody in a town square. What happened to you? What happened with Twitter, and what caused that?
The context was I was previously suing Twitter as one of a multi-plaintiff case, and Twitter prevailed in this. It was regarding cancellation of previous accounts. Twitter prevailed based on SLAPP, that they said our lawsuit was a strategic lawsuit against their public participation in the conversation. So Twitter asserted that by manipulating accounts, by using artificial intelligence, bots, and other technology, that they can participate in the COVID-19 conversation, as opposed to Twitter executives going out and saying what they think. They're manipulating our accounts. Then last week, we saw some instability in followers. We presume bots being subtracted and added to accounts on the news that Musk was going to acquire Twitter. Then October 6th, all of my followers, 512,000 followers, were drained to zero. And I know millions of people are on my feed. Twitter actively unfollows them. We had already screenshotted that. And then shortly after, my account was suspended. Twitter would not let me back up my account. I had thousands of scientific abstracts, manuscripts, and videos and posting. My tweeting pattern hadn't changed, so nothing had changed. We're over a year on this account, and now Twitter is backpedaling.
Hang on for a second. Was there anything you had put up different than the normal peer-reviewed journals and articles that you normally put up? Is there anything that up to the 6th that you did over and above what you have been doing every day since I've known you?
There was no change. When the last thing I posted was the clip you just showed of the Vaccine Safety Research Foundation on that documentary called Are the Kids Okay?, which was simply showing Senate testimony in peer-reviewed publications. That's as solid as it gets, Steve.
Let's talk about that for a second. This is a pretty blunt statement. You're saying the vaccine you think is one of the causes or could be a cause of myocarditis, and that's killing kids. When you go back to the evidence, and you've spent your entire professional career with the evidence and the facts, walk us through, walk the audience through the case you build for that based on the evidence.
First, we start with biologic plausibility. The vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, as well as Johnson & Johnson, are genetic code that's loaded on lipid nanoparticles. Before COVID, these lipid nanoparticles in published papers from China, we knew that they would go everywhere in the body, into the brain, the heart, the adrenal glands, the reproductive organs, and that we know the genetic code codes for the Wuhan spike protein. This is the dangerous part of SARS-CoV-2. It was engineered in research from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Harvard, and a Swiss institute. This was published in the best journals in 2015. It was told to the medical world that SARS-CoV-2 was being engineered. The work was done in the lab in Wuhan, China, but it was U.S. research done, funded by the National Institutes of Health. And now this code for the spike protein is installed in the heart. And a paper by Bohmeyer and colleagues from Germany, taking biopsies of hearts of people who have myocarditis, finds the spike protein in the heart. So it's there, it's present and accounted for. There now are 200 papers, Steve, showing that the myocarditis causes heart damage and a scar, and then the scar becomes the basis for a cardiac arrhythmia. And then the arrhythmia is responsible for the sudden death that we're seeing. And we're seeing sudden death now on a massive scale in younger people. And it's my view that it's the COVID-19 vaccine until proven otherwise. If a healthy person suddenly dies and there's no antecedent disease, it's the vaccine until proven otherwise. Now, it can easily be ruled out if the family comes forward and tells America they didn't take the vaccine. Fine, we rule out the vaccine. Otherwise, I think the operating assumption should be that it is the vaccine. That's a conservative regulatory approach. The majority of adult Americans have taken the vaccine.
Okay, given the fact of you've got the finest medical institutions in the world, in the nation, that are helping to promulgate what Fauci knows, there's been this maniacal focus on young people getting the vaccine. And you've had not just pharma, not just the corporate interests, but you've had you've had medical schools, you had these NGO scientific research. You've seen every night on MSNBC and CNN, from Johns Hopkins to Harvard to Yale. I mean, the elite of the elite. How could this possibly go on when I've never heard any of them talk about the evidence you just put forward? How could that possibly, how could you have a conspiracy so vast, sir?
It's willful blindness. You know, the FDA says as of June 2021 that the vaccines cause myocarditis. The FDA says this. So these commentators from these institutions are willfully blind to what the FDA says is going on. They're willfully blind to, 200 or more peer-reviewed publications. Recent paper by Patone and colleagues in Circulation, the best cardiology journal, describes 100 fatal cases of myocarditis in the peer-reviewed literature. And everything that you showed on that clip is accurate. Steve, this is willful blindness. These academic institutions do not want to face the music that the COVID-19 vaccines are injuring the heart and causing large numbers of deaths.
Dr. McCullough, one of the unspoken realities, because we've been here from the very beginning, both with the pandemic and with the steal of 2020 and now with this looks like sweeping victory, one of the biggest parts of the reason that the American people are rising up in this victory is the medical freedom movement. Of course, the Democrats have not wanted to talk about that, anything in this campaign. What would you request, given we would take the House, you'd have Rand Paul in the Senate, what would be the medical freedom movement of which you're one of the leaders of? What would you request of the new Congress to get to the bottom of this? What do you think has to happen? What would be your recommendation?
I think myself and all Americans, the single greatest thing they want to know is, where do the candidates stand on the vaccine? Are they supporting the vaccine at this point in time? Or are they questioning the safety and the efficacy? 47 congressmen they were all Republicans, but they sent a letter to Lloyd Austin in the military. And they told him, listen, the vaccines aren't working. They're not safe. Drop the mandates, reinstate our military who have been discharged or dismissed, and give them back pay. We needed to see everybody in Congress do that. I think all the candidates, every single one, all the way up and down the line, need to tell Americans where they stand on the vaccine. The vaccine is the single greatest issue on people's minds because they're losing their jobs. They're under extreme pressure right now. They're seeing their loved ones be injured and sadly dying with the vaccine. And that's the only thing people, honestly, at this point in time care about. It's way bigger than inflation. It's way bigger than any other political fights between the two parties. We need to know where they stand.
Are you open with the new Congress of being one of the advisors? Because I know right now they're thinking of setting up a special select committee to get to the bottom of not just the vaccine, but to get to the bottom of Wuhan and all of it. Are you open to be a consultant for that or advisor to that? Obviously, you'd be called as a witness. Would you also help people put this together?
Yeah, I'd be delighted. I've already been a lead witness and co-moderator of 2 Senate testimonies and multiple state Senate testimonies, which you've seen. I'd be happy to help the nation in any way I can. So many Americans reach out to me and they just want to get to the bottom of this. Why has this not been stopped? Why are our agencies not protecting the safety of Americans? Why does this continue on? People can see through this now. The vast majority of Americans see this very clearly.
How can this audience help you on this Twitter thing, or is this something that's just got to be worked out? Because this is outrageous. Not only did you have 500,000, you had an actively engaged Twitter account. I would see the people retweet your stuff, particularly the peer-reviewed journal, the articles, all of it. How is that going to get worked out?
Well, my tech and legal teams are engaged with Twitter right now. I was just texting them before I came on. Joe Ladapo, Surgeon General, just had his analysis of excess death in young people, males age 18 to 39 from Florida. He had Twitter take that down and then become canceled himself, and then they've now resurrected it. We've seen a tremendous sweeping acts of censorship. Recently, PayPal announced that they were going to charge accounts $2,500 if PayPal determined that users were, spreading COVID misinformation. PayPal is not a place where anybody can post information. How is PayPal going to adjudicate this? How are they going to make the determination? And how in the world were they going to subtract $2,500 from people's accounts? PayPal quickly backpedaled and said, no, they didn't mean to do this. I think that someone has approached PayPal and they tried to induce PayPal to somehow now get into payment systems and influence the COVID narrative. People ought to be asking questions, Steve, because what's next? Bank of America, Citibank, people's mortgages, their retirement? We need to ask serious questions.
Dr. McCullough, I tell everybody I meet, they got to read your book on COVID-19. How do people get to your book? How do they get to you? And what social media do you still have left, and what website?
Well, go to my website, petermcculloughmd.com. I'm active on Getter and Truth Social. Being struck down from Twitter temporarily or potentially permanently, I started a Substack. It's called the Courageous Discourse Substack with best-selling author John Leake. John and I wrote the book together, CourageToFaceCovid.com. I have an active following. It's even larger. Each one of these acts of censorship makes my influence even greater. And for those trying to censor the truth, it's backfiring every step of the way. Those who are trying to censor you and the war room, each time you become more influential with these acts of censorship.
No, it's the irony of it all. Dr. McCullough, honored to have you on here, a true patriot and hero. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
They're trying to destroy people. Okay, we got a very special. Let's go ahead and play the cold open for our next guest. This is a firebrand. I want you to see this spot, then we'll bring her on.
Hi, my name is Gordana Schifanelli. Since you all know, our economy is the best in the world. There's no inflation. We have full employment. We even have local manufacturing for all our needs and energy independence. Our schools are the best with 100% proficiency in math, reading, and science. And so we don't have crime and we don't have drug problems. We live in utopia. But the reality is completely the opposite. I am an economist and an attorney, and I'm running to be your next lieutenant governor, and I will make Maryland safe. S, safety.
No parent should have to lose their child to gun violence. Baltimore needs strong and honest leadership.
A, affordability. By energy independence, lowering gas prices, and cutting regulations and fees. That's how we make our groceries affordable again. F, freedom. I will restore and secure for all Marylanders the right to exercise their medical freedom, religious freedom, and freedom of speech against media censorship. E, education. Every parent has the fundamental right to raise their child and know their child's curriculum. I want to ensure the school of choice where every parent can send their child to any school of their choice regardless of their zip code. Your tax money should follow each child. It's your freedom. It's your family. It's your safety.
Paid for by Citizens for Gordana Schifanelli for Lieutenant Governor. Kelly Hall, Treasurer.
Okay, we're joined now by Gordana Schifanelli. I love that spot. I love that. There's so many attack spots, and they tell you got to go negative, but man, the combination of the music, the combination of the message, the graphics. Gordana, how'd you get the idea for this? Because it's very unique given this intense and quite frankly nasty political cycle.
It came from desperation, Steve. So I'm thinking like, okay, my little lieutenant governor account doesn't have the money to hire the top media people, to get the camera, to get the makeup artist. So I figured, you know what, all I want to do is to send a message about what I feel and what I think. So I'm sitting in my room here and I'm just thinking, well, who's going to send that message? Can I get a cartoon to say it? So I started drafting the video, and I made it up, and I called my friends and said, hey, can we put something together? And here you go. It just came out of my mind, out of nowhere. It was a desperation.
Talk to us about the race. But well, I don't know about desperation, because your message is so powerful. I don't know why my mom is from Baltimore. My big part of my dad's family was, we're from Norfolk, but the family was from Baltimore. We got down to Norfolk. We love Maryland. It's such a great state and such great people. That message has to resonate with all Marylanders, right? I mean, this is a very powerful message. It's kind of basic common sense, but the state of Maryland's gotten so far away from that, man.
That is where the desperation is. I can draw pictures. I can try to make it down to the, to the basic levels, but yet it's the issue of woke Maryland population. They are completely brainwashed. We have, governor who had allowed, and it was a Republican governor who had allowed for the past 8 years to take nonchalant approach to Marylanders. And this education's been going on for so long. So right now you have brainwashed parents, you have brainwashed kids, the closeness to DC, the fact that you have all these government contractors that are leeches on the backs of the government. They are promoting and stopping the message from getting out to the people. So right now you have so many people who are literally oblivious about the idea of just, money follows the child. They think that if the money follows the child, somehow we're going to do something bad and you're not going to have quality education. Well, we don't have quality education already as it is. How bad does it have to be for the people to realize that this is not public education? We have government indoctrination as public school education. We don't have, parents making choices or knowing what the kids are learning in schools. Just an example. I'm every day on a campaign trail, and it's just very, very hard to know that 2/3 of Maryland delegates are Democrats. The same thing in the Senate. Governor Hogan is supporting idea that there is no CRT curriculum in school, which is completely wrong. I mean, every parent knows that the schools today are not teaching kids how to think, but what to think. And overall, the economy's completely collapsed. I mean, we have, small 4% of Maryland economy is manufacturing. We literally do not have quality manufacturing. Small businesses are crushed. Infrastructure is dilapidated. Education is horrible. I mean, people are being indoctrinated on the levels that I have never seen anything like it before. Pedophilia type of education is promoted all over the schools. 57 pronouns are something that is normal, and men can deliver babies are something that's normal. That's not normal. And if I say that, I am labeled as racist. So I just didn't know what else to do is to make up this cartoon. So it's how it is in Maryland. It's worse than anything that I can ever explain to you.
We follow, obviously, the House and the Senate very closely. The House races, I think Maryland 6 is now in play, and that was a heavy Biden district. Do you see any tectonic plate shift? Do you see yourself and your partner you're running for governor? Are you seeing this? Because the rest of the nation seems to be shifting, even in Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Maryland, these congressional districts. Do you think your message is getting out? Do you think you're getting traction on your campaign?
we're doing everything we can to get the traction. Yesterday, I was in Baltimore City with the Black voters, and a lot of them are Democrats. We are seeing that. We actually have an opponent who had never had any kind of competitive race before. He's not even he didn't grow up in Baltimore City. He claims to be from Baltimore City. So there's a lot that's at stake right now, but I can tell you it's hard because we are just fighting every day to get the message out. And having you have me on the show is one of the ways, but it's a fight. It's literally a fight, and we're doing it every day. But it's really, really hard just because there's so many people, especially in Montgomery County, that believe that this woke culture is okay, that defunding SROs in schools is okay, that defunding police is okay, that forcing masking and vaccine mandates is okay. I mean, we have Johns Hopkins University, University of Maryland, they're all mandating vaccines and obviously masking. And that's been a disaster here. So while the rest of the country is kind of making progress, we are too, but it's so hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie to your audience. It's very, very hard.
No, but we're going to put, everybody's going to push this spot out, and everybody's going to push this segment out. Where do people go? We got about 30 seconds. Where do people go on social media and your site to find out more about you in this fight?
So restorefreedoms.com is my website. That is Lieutenant Governor's website where people can make donation, make a comment, join the fight. And more importantly, dancoxforgovernor.com or coxforfreedom.com. Tomorrow, we do have a first time and the only time public debate between Dan Cox and Wes Moore. It will be publicly broadcasted on Maryland Public Television. It is closed to the public. It is only going to be Dan Cox and Wes Moore, and then we will watch it later on at 7 o'clock. That tells you alone that we are not allowed to be in the audience to watch. It's just absurd, but that's where we are.
Gordana, you're a fighter. That's why the War Room loves you. We're going to push all this out. Okay.
Thank you.
You are. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we're going to be lit with 29 days to go. See you tomorrow morning.